Now, a message from the UN.
Okay. I've got a pretty big dick. My knob is something equal to the Washington Monument. When I stand up and I'm wearing sweatpants now, you can surely see my chode. Come on, it's time to go. It's my main vein of which he's speaking. For me, it's never been a comfortable subject. Frasco brags about the size of my mast. Even talked it up on Bert Kreischer's podcast. When I was a child, I carried Thor's hammer. Walked around with this big wang. My confidence is growing strong. You cannot put 10 fingers round it now. This is just my big ham. I have become comfortably hung. Comfortably hung.
Shit. And we're live. Andy Frasco's World Saving Podcast. Live from our first tour bus, baby. Let's fucking go. We're back. Don't call it a comeback. We're slept, we're malnourished, and we're ready to fuck this fucking West Coast tour. How we doing, everyone? How's your heads? How's your hearts? We are somewhere in New Mexico. This is the first time we've ever got to a town at 10 a.m., and it's weird, right? Boys, get in here. Who wants to come in first? Andy, ladies and gentlemen, we have Andy Avila. Andy Avila, how you doing, buddy?
Hi. This is your little couch here.
This is our interview hour.
Yeah.
We got, here, get in there too. Get in here too. Hey, we got Shawn Eccles in the building too. How you doing, Shawn? Boys!
Look at this!
It's not a big tour bus, but it's our tour bus.
It's ours.
How we doing?
First night was great.
What happened?
I slept like a solid. And
what else?
And we broke the fucking water pump.
We already brought the fucking water pump. we already broke the water pump, but it was only $100. We tried to. We're working on it. We're working real hard on it. Yes, and the best part about it is now, instead of like being in one person's hotel room, now I could hear everyone pitching about. This man was pitching a 45-year-old man about dashboard confessional.
I was trying to
night.
get Floyd to listen to it, and he was listening to it. Then I was screaming the words in his ear.
What? No, all you were like, girls are whores.
That's what all the music's about.
I know. All those emo songs are about just the emotional imbalance of
their
hormones.
relationships with women, and maybe something to do with their dads.
I love, because I know how Shawn is like a very metalhead, and like you're just putting screaming infidelities by Dashboard Confessionals in here, and I'm surprised you didn't want to fucking kill your neck.
I'm getting used to it, you know. I don't know, it's a little whiny for me, but you know, it's still mad. It's still hard.
The weed helped, I think.
Yeah. It helped everybody.
I'm excited for this new life for the band, right?
Oh, it's great. I mean,
Put the microphone closer.
you can hear me.
Yeah.
It's great. It's fucking great because this thing blacks out all the way. It's pretty comfortable. And I didn't hear anybody snore.
I didn't hear anyone snore either.
Not
Just
even
like
Jason.
white fuzz of the generator work. He's like,
Yeah.
you know, we can't tell climate control about this tour bus because his generator's rocking.
Oh, it's
fucking
rocking
day.
real hard, dude.
Yeah.
It's eating a diesel
Yeah,
up.
dude. Greta Thunberg's gonna be fucking pissed.
Pissed, dude.
How dare
Tour
you?
in America.
How dare? We're like, Greta, this is our first tour bus. Let us live.
Let us live.
Jesus
I just
Christ.
reheated something in the microwave on the road. It
Let's
was
go.
fucking
We got a
killer.
fucking microwave, baby. We got PlayStation. We got an air fryer. We got an air fryer. We just picked up an air fryer and a fucking shower. We're going to Mexico. We're going to get a shower. Woo!
The little things.
We're hyped up. I like it because I get to sleep and then I can work at 9 a.m. because I wake up at 9 a.m. all the time. And when I was on tour, staying up till 5 a.m. and then waking up at 9 to get in a van is not the healthiest
Yeah,
thing.
and then drive 7 hours. And just, it's not that you're pissed, but you're pissed.
Yeah.
It is tight waking up and being already in the town you're supposed to be in.
Yeah, it is tight. At first, you're like, so what are we going to do? We're just going to sit in this parking lot? You're like, I'm like, we sure fucking are, bitch.
Well, we go somewhere where there's like Starbucks.
I went to the gym this morning.
Let's go. You went to the gym. We parked at a Planet Fitness.
I wasn't showering in that motherfucker. It's
Yeah, the
dirty.
showers look
It's
gross
dirty.
as fucking
There was
Planet
like white
Fitnesses.
shit all over the shower curtain. Like,
Oh.
get the fuck out of here. I didn't have my slides.
See,
on.
that's my.
I want to shower in here.
I can't shower if
Bo
there's.
broke the water pump, I think.
He's
He's
like,
the only one that showered in here.
yeah. Well,
Strong man.
this
Strong.
bus is really expensive, so buy some merch online, people. We need
Got some new merch items.
We got some
out
new
there.
merch items. Go to the andyfrasco.com/merch or wherever it is, andyfrasco.com. Get some merch. Help us pay for this bus because they always say, once you go bus, you don't go back.
Man, it's
I swear to God, if we have to go back to that Sprinter, I'll kill someone. I will fucking kill someone.
Boy.
Boys, tour. We have a great one. West Coast.
West Coast,
We're
baby.
going home.
LA
Beats.
show, baby.
LA. Is your familia all 100 of
They're
your
all,
fucking
all the guest list is all my family. No. They bought tickets actually.
I just started-
like you should do.
Yeah, buy tickets. But this show's already gonna be done before
okay.
after that show. But yeah, I already started seeing people retreat in Spanish.
Hell yeah. That's
No,
cool.
I'm just kidding. No, but the family's coming out. My family's coming out. This is gonna be a fun time. We're gonna have a blast. We have Joe Bonamassa on the show,
Ooh,
and
shredder.
of course we had to start the show with another guitar god, Shawn Eccles' version of "Comfortably Hung."
Listen, I was inspired. I took my time. This is my opus. This is my.
He wrote the words for that parody standing naked in the mirror.
Just to get a little perspective, I hope everybody enjoyed it.
It's great. It really is it is a podcast parody opus because there's a lot of layers to
Took
it.
a chance. It's one of the longest ones. It's like
took
3
a
whole
chance.
minutes. And by the time it gets to the solo, I was hoping it was going to be fun. And you laughed. So.
I fucking laugh so hard.
That's
The
my
best
favorite.
is like, he talked about my dick on Bert Kreischer's podcast.
Just hyping me up. Man.
I'll
It was the
hype
blurb
that
on
dick up all the
Bert's-
time.
Let's go.
I know. I mean, I tell the story all the time. The first time I ever saw your cock, it was
Here we are again.
crazy. It looked like Thor's hammer.
I call it Thor's hammer.
You call it. You and Toby. Yeah, you and Toby are making love. You ready for Thor's hammer?
Poor Toby.
She's the best.
All right, guys. Let's have fun. New Mexico, baby. Are you ready?
Yeah.
We got 2 more weeks of touring, guys. I think we're going up Northern California.
Caleb Holly.
And we got Caleb Holly touring with us.
Nicholas Moyle from the World Saving Podcast New York edition.
I know
playing bass.
Nicholas
He's
is in
pumped.
it. And then we have Dogs in the Pile for some of the run, too. We're
Yeah.
playing the Fillmore. We're doing Winter Wondergrass. We're going to Portland. I love going to Portland. Portland's fun.
Aight.
See,
We gotta find
we
that
should get
sandwich.
tattoos from that guy.
Let's get tattoos everywhere, and we got to find that sandwich spot in Portland we went to. It had like lobster soup and shit. It was fucking sick. I don't know how we're gonna figure that out, but we'll get there.
And then we go to
Sandwich.
Seattle. And then we go to Boise. And then we go to wherever else. Salt Lake City.
Commonwealth.
I'm excited. See, at first, we were like, after 3-week tours, like, here we go, van tour. But
Now it's like let's stay.
now
in
it's
the van.
let's stay in the bus.
I'm saying,
I
where's the
literally,
bus?
I haven't even left the bus. It was so nice.
We're
You
hanging
guys were
out.
chugging beers while we were driving. I was just in my bunk. I was in my blanket. I was like, this is the best day of my life. It's
an
nice.
upgrade.
We'll get a tour bus here too. This is a big ass bus. It's a
All
bus.
right. We got Gonzo back.
It's got if you guys aren't on volume.com, by the way, volume.com, go check out all the live streams. I'll pimp them out in a second. But if you can't see it, there are 8 bunks in here, and a bathroom, and a PlayStation 5, and a fucking air fryer. Let's go. We bought an air fryer. We bought an air fryer.
$25.
It's the little things, people. It's the little things. All right,
People
guys.
like crispy food.
People like crispy food. Okay.
I'm out.
I'm out. All right, guys. Have fun out there. Wow. We're all jacked up. I know it's only day 4 of the tour, but we're fucking jacked up. Buy tickets to West Coast tour. Guys, I know we don't come out to the West Coast a lot, so it's like a slow crawl to get to these sellouts, but tell your friends about the Frasco band in the West Coast. We don't play here enough where people know what the deal is yet, or maybe they're just scared of us. Maybe the West Coast is too woke for Frasco band. But come on out. But come on out. Tell all your friends. We need all the help we can get out here. We just got to bus people, and we're going to the smallest markets we have of the tour. So we love you. Volume.com, guys. Before we talk about Joe Bonamassa, guys, there's 2 ways of going on Volume.com. Which way would you are you just a listener? Do you just love your favorite bands and want to see them fucking kill it in Omaha or wherever the fuck Volume.com flies their people out to go see your favorite bands to record them? Head to Volume.com. All the podcasts are archived, so if you want to go see like Nick Hexum's hot ass, dude, Nick Hexum is so hot. 311, we got some exciting news we're about to announce that we are be doing with 311, which I can't talk about. His little fucking you used to love 311.
I used to drive around in my AMC Pacer and do acid on farm roads listening to 311.
Fucking go. See, we have a big announcement about 311 here soon that we can't talk about, but it's happening.
311 sandwich.
And then, so head to volume.com, see all the archived podcasts. Also, a lot of your favorite bands have been getting archived in volume.com, so you might as well go check out all the great content that is involved with volume.com. But the best thing about volume.com, if you are an artist, yes, a musician, a comedian, if you like to sit on cakes. I've been seeing a lot of porn where women are sitting on cakes. It's kind of hot, actually. I don't know why. It's just weirdly hot to me. Head to volume.com and be a content creator, because we need to take the power back. Social media, you see it every day. People are getting more and more not into the idea of social media, which I think is actually a good idea because it's fucking up all our mental health. And you still want to stay in touch with your favorite bands and artists. You will have a push notification. So every time you go live, every time you put new content out on volume.com, it'll directly go to your fans like, hey, Frasco is streaming right now. You should go check it out. Or, hey, Frasco just put out a new music video. Go check it out. We need to take the power back, people. We are not window shoppers anymore. Volume.com has us covered for music content and artist content. So let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. They're the best. Volume.com, we love you. All right, guys. Joe Bonamassa. Here he is. Do you know anything about Joe Bonamassa, Shawn? You want to do the pitch for Joe Bonamassa? What?
He's a badass guitar player. He's got good-looking hair. He wears good-looking clothes. He hosts like a cruise, like a blues cruise thing. And a lot of our buddies have played it. I don't know. Seemed like a cool guy. Cheers.
Thank you. What a pitch. What a fucking pitch. What a goddamn pitch that was. Joe Bonamassa, one of the greatest blues guitars players out there. I think he's a Gibson guy. Yeah. Is he a Gibson guy? I think he said he's his own guitar. But you're gonna love this interview. He's no bullshit. We were talking shit about the music industry. It was awesome. He was giving us the honest take. He's been in the scene for so long. He's seen every inch of it. I mean, and especially the blues scene. You know, they've had dealt with the fucking wrath of the music industry when blues was starting to fall off, and then finally has a rejuvenance now with the Gary Clarks of the world and the Andy Frasco and the UNs of the world. So I think you're really going to love this interview. He's no bullshit. He is a guy who I asked him all of the questions some people are afraid to ask. You know how I roll. And he's like, you know what? Here you go. Here's the real dirt. All right, guys. Anyway, I went on a tangent. Enjoy Joe Bonamassa, and I'll catch you next week. We're going to Skype in or Zoom in Nick, and we'll get Nick back on the show next week. All right. Love you. Buy tickets for the fucking tour, please. Buy tickets all you can. We just announced more pigeons playing ping pong and dogs in the pile dates. We're going to New York, baby. Pier 16. Big rooms. We need you to buy all the tickets you can. And we're going on tour in Florida, which I was like, fuck, no one's going to show up. And we're almost sold out on a lot of these dates. So thank you, Florida. Let's go. All right, guys, I love you. And enjoy Joe Bonamassa. Joe motherfucking Bonamassa. What's up, dog? How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm good, bud. How's it going out there in guitar world?
Well, it's quiet. It's this is the rainy season this is when we plant crops and plot for the new year.
Yeah.
But everything was good. 2023 was great. Looks like 2024 is shaping up to be busy. And we're just about to finish a record we started last year, and I'm looking forward to getting back to work. I mean, like I don't sit idle well.
Yeah,
me
either.
I like to work. My whole life has been music. My whole, my whole how I live in a house of guitars, as you can tell.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's something that I really, still enjoy.
Yeah, I was
at almost 50 years old.
I was gonna ask you that. How do you stay inspired with such a shitty music industry in 2023?
Well, it's. I was able to, because, again, I've been doing this 35 years. I mean, I was able to kind of slip through the cracks. I went independent right as labels started to kind of, not implode, but shift their business from hard copies to streaming, because you remember when Napster came out and then everybody fought them and put them out of business. Well, then Spotify and all these other streaming services started, Apple Music, and now they love it because they don't have to pay mechanicals, the Harry Fox, and the writers get screwed. And the thing about the music business today, if I was starting today, it would be a lot different. It would be a vastly different pathway to success. I came up independently when you could still sell a record. CD players were still stock equipment in cars. Now there's not that anymore. And I mean, if pressed, here's a CD, Joe, play my record right now in your house of music with hundreds of guitar amps, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't have a CD player. Most people don't have a CD player. Only the diehards who have audio and I mean, everything is streaming. So, I mean, if you're a young kid, want to be a songwriter, want to be an artist, and you want to sell records, well, you just leave that dream at the door because there's no record industry left. You have to be a touring act.
Right.
You have to be vertically integrated. You have to know how to sell merch. You have to know how to market yourself and take advantage of all the free spaces that you have in online and God forbid, I know some of these people, they don't want to be called this, but, the pathway to success for some people is to be an Instagram or TikTok influencer, and that's how people get their name out.
Right.
It's no different than what PBS did for me or, being on the cover of Guitar Player magazine 20 years ago. It doesn't matter. Like, it's getting the name out. It's a means to an end. So if you can get your name out, it doesn't matter how you did it. It just, you got to do it. They're not going to come buy a ticket.
Yeah, and it's evolution. It's just like what people are using now to promote themselves versus what they're using when you were getting popping. Like, how do you promote your tours now?
Well, luckily, I mean, we've established a brand long enough to where, tours tend to be promoted. There's always a drop. It's like in the jam band. There's like tickets on sale Friday, 10 a.m. There's a drop.
Right.
So you wind up your followers, you wind up your email list and whoever, and boom, you hit the numbers right off the bat, and then it sells how it sells going out. And what you have to do is be very, very careful about the kind of dates, once you've established a brand, the kind of dates that you do take, because you can easily fall back into when you were first starting out.
Right.
You don't want to go back to playing for $10. There's the model collapses for $10. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, yeah, is it great for the fans? 100%. Can they say I saw so and so for $10? Yeah, that's great. The business model collapses
Right.
at $10 because, and I'll tell you why. Because last time I checked, gasoline in Nashville was almost $4 a gallon, and a Ford Econoline van has a almost 28-gallon tank or a 25-gallon tank.
Yeah.
That if you're playing for $10 and can draw 100 people, you know you're paying for the van.
Yeah.
You can't pay the players. You can't stay at the Red Roof Inn. You can't do this. You can't do that. God forbid you know got to print up T-shirts. That's out of pocket. It collapses at $10. So you have to be very careful to try to get at least, you know. And I think the fans kind of understand it now. It's like, yeah, if my favorite artist is playing for $25, I'm gonna pay the money, because they know that if you give them, you know, if you give, you know, your fans, you know, $40, you know, it's like, boom, here's $40 for a ticket. It's not like it goes right into my front pocket, and that's all. It's not.
No.
Like, you're lucky to get 10, 12, 15% of that, even if you're pinching pennies and your margins are good. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's important for artists to know the ins and outs of touring, because you can go out of business just as easily as a you know, as a pizza shop or a 7-Eleven. You know, it's just cash in, cash out. You know, I sound like Kevin Leary from the fucking Shark Tank, but I'm not telling you things that are telling you facts here.
Yeah, it's like, but do you think inflation is killing the music scene? Because we're not getting inflated. Everyone else is inflating their prices. The venues are inflating the prices. The tickets people are inflating the prices. We're still making the same amount of fucking money, you know? Like, it's bullshit, you know? I don't know. Do you think that's killing? Because I think
how old are you?
I'm 35. I've been doing this.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the first time you took a plane ride, like on a commercial jet?
Probably 8. So yeah. So
okay. So maybe like
94.
So maybe in the 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. Early 90s.
If you went on United or Delta or American or US Air, remember they used to remember US Air?
Yeah.
You used to call it US Scare. Anyway.
Yeah. The frontier of the 80s.
But exactly. And they would always provide, before the age of in-flight entertainment, free Wi-Fi and everything. Your only entertainment was whatever magazines or books you could buy at the Hudson News. Or if you forgot to do that, you could then scroll through the American Way magazine, which was just a bunch of, like, you know, softball, you know, public interest stories. It's like, you know, discover the blue crabs of Maryland and Colorado, not just mountains. These kind of like puff pieces that, you know, 1,500 words. In the middle of those magazines was a guy who would do seminars. His name was Charles Carras. And his whole thing was, you only get what you negotiate.
Right.
And that was his whole class. He would go to, you know, the Omaha Airport Sheraton and for a fee speak to people who were trying to build their business. And his whole thing was, you only get what you negotiate. Now, let's get back to the music business. Like you just said, we're getting paid the same, but the venue costs are going up, and this is going up, and the diesel goes up, and the bag of fucking Doritos goes up.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever lifestyle you've accrued out there on the road, that becomes, you know, this is where the model begins to either collapse or work, because you have to go to your vendor, meaning your promoter or your club, or if you're promoting yourself, and say, in order for this to work, because you have to keep that margin or else you go out of business. For this to work, you have to get paid more. So then who pays more? Club pays more.
Yeah.
Or the venue pays more. Well, who's paying more after that? The fans. Now, maybe tacitly they're not paying more for the ticket. Maybe if you have enough leverage and you can negotiate that deal where, like, I'm not raising my ticket prices, you're just giving me more. And Live Nation goes, absolutely, sir. We love you. You're the greatest thing that's ever happened to this organization and company. We just can't wait to just snuggle you and embrace you in our corporate goodness. Okay, who pays more? The parking goes up. The fucking hot dogs go up. That's how they make it up in the end. The fans will pay more either way. So at the end of the day, the inflation of it all, now everybody can see that. The price of one of the great road meals used to be back 25 years ago for the band when we'd stop at McDonald's, and the $2.99 value meal, okay?
Yeah.
2 cheeseburgers, fried, and a Diet Coke. That was a good for the day, you
Right.
know?
Right.
That doesn't
Exactly.
happen anymore. And I feel sorry for everyone because it's the economics of touring are really, really, really tough. And it's sidelined post-pandemic. It's sidelined a lot of great talent because they just can't get it going.
Right.
And they just don't want to go out, work their ass off for 6 weeks, and then have to, God forbid, cut a check. I've done that.
Yeah.
And it's the worst feeling in the world when you're just trying to eke out a living, pay your rent in Nashville or whatever.
Yeah.
And you come back home, you're like, what do you mean? After agent fees, gasoline, the Red Roof Inn, and a couple of dinners at Outback Steakhouse. I
That's
got
our life, bro.
I know. By the way, the bloomin' onion is the worst thing you can order.
I know. It's horrible.
It's the most calories in a single appetizer, I believe, in the entire U.S. restaurant chain.
Yeah, I think it's 2,300 calories. 4,000?
I think with the sauce, it's almost 4,000 calories. They listed it at 2,800, but it's bullshit.
Yo, fuck that, dude. Yeah,
Well, I'm just telling you, every 3,500 calories is a pound gain. So if you're feeling skinny, go for it. If like the clothes are tight,
That's why I'm like so curious about your story, bro. Like, how did you not drink with being on the road so much? I mean,
because I don't drink.
I thought you didn't drink.
No. I like wine or a martini, but
never substance abuse. Nothing was ever. You never had. No. That's what I mean.
Too fucking pragmatic for that.
Like what?
Okay?
Like what was the? Because you've learned so young in your life, you think, or what do you think? That's why.
I'm too pragmatic, and I'll tell you why. My entire life, my entire career has been. I have a funny last name. I play music that's not exactly pop.
Yeah.
I've had to fight for everything. Every step up the ladder, I've had to, had to earn, and why would I do something counterintuitive that would maybe make me go down rungs on the ladder as opposed to go up, or at least just stay, you know? Once you reach a certain altitude, you're going, okay, I did this. Now it's my job not to screw it up. It's really important. And, when you start doing well on the road, there's nobody that says no. Hey, do you want a bloomin' onion? Sure. How about 10 bloomin' onions? No problem. Just bring it on the bus. You understand?
Yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right.
And you also have to respect what you're actually doing out there when you're traveling and you're playing the Red Rocks one night and you're playing Greek theater the next night. You're traveling, but you also start at zero every day. And this thing I love about touring is every day you start at zero. You could have the greatest night. We've had some unbelievable gigs at Red Rocks, greatest, big. I mean, just sold out and rocking in there.
Yeah.
But the next day you wake up. And guess what? You start at zero.
Yeah.
So in Salt Lake City, they weren't there last night. You have to completely clean the slate. So I try to give 100% or whatever percentage I have to the fans who pay all that money for tickets and parking and everything. And if for some reason I have a cold and I'm at 80%, you're going to get 100% of the 80%.
Right.
But my job is to mitigate anything that could take the quality of the show or the quality of the performance down for the folks that have literally been with me my entire career, and that's and that's something I'm very, very proud of that we've been able to maintain, and that's why substance abuse and overindulgence is just my only addiction is this.
Yeah.
That's non-negotiable.
Oh, non-negotiable. Yeah. So, and what? And
one's gonna kill me. The other one's gonna make my niece and nephew rich.
Yeah, exactly. But what about who taught? What was the mentors in your life that taught you this work ethic, or did you learn it by yourself? You've been in the music industry since what? Since you were 4? You're touring with BB at 12.
My first paying gig was I was 11. I was about like 89. you know. And
So you're in the bars early.
oh yeah.
So like,
My dad he had a band. I would sit in the 80s,
Yeah.
you know, and then we had our own band by 89. And, you know, I had a record deal, and, you know, when I was 13, but they didn't know what to do with me. So I was in a band. And
did you quit school?
No. My mother always says she always said, she goes, people don't like a stupid guitar player. I'm like, I get it. I get it. Stay in school. Anyway, I wanted to finish school.
Yeah.
You know, it's also just that, you know, I mean, I knew what I wanted to do.
Right.
I knew what I was going to do. But as far as a, you know, I mean, I knew I wasn't going to go to Berkeley. I knew I wasn't going to go to, you know, secondary education, because I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a musician and a road guy, and play my guitar as loud as people will let me. And that so far has worked out. But, you know, the people that mentored me were, you know, a guy named Danny Gatton saw something in me.
Yeah.
A great guitar player, late great Danny Gatton. He mentored me. My father was a big part of my musical journey. B.B. King was a big part of my musical journey. He said, you know, one of the things he would always say: watch your money, watch the girls.
Yeah.
No better advice
I know.
for a young dude on the road.
Yeah, let's go, BB.
Buddy Guy, Paul Rogers, George Thorogood. George gave me a stage year after year, and he would come to me and be like, listen, you got something here, but do me a favor. Don't wear an Eric Clapton shirt on stage when you're playing, because you want people to want to see you.
Right.
You don't want them thinking about Eric Clapton while you're playing. And it made all the sense in the world. And George Thorogood, as far as I'm concerned, is a consummate professional on the road. He knows who he is, and he flips his personality from just George talking about the Mets to bad to the bone guy.
Right.
And when I started to see that, and I started to see that in a few other artists, the switch,
Yeah.
you know, and about 2004, my producer, 2005, my producer, who's been with me now almost 20 years, said, your image, you look like a slob. You gotta change and I said, okay, I'm gonna start dressing better in the audience. And I started putting on the suit, and then I put these fucking sunglasses on. And because I'm kind of light sensitive for the spotlights, and we were doing well enough to where the House of Blues, the occasional House of Blues, had spotlights, and I'm like, oh my God.
And that became the thing.
That became the thing. And that's the switch.
Yeah. I respect the switch so much.
The free t-shirt guy and the free Gibson hat, that's the other 22 hours.
Right.
The switch is at 8:00, and you become the character, and you become the performer, and you entertain, and you have this, that's where the ego really kicks in. It's like you walk out, and this is my house.
Yeah.
This is my evening. And then you take your fans on this journey, and then at 10:10, put the sunglasses back in the case, put the suit back on the rack, and get back into this, and it's over for the day.
Was there any years in your career where you just didn't take that you took that for granted? Like kind of jaded by the industry, or kind of, you know, was kind of over the industry and kind of treated people like shit, or like any of those type of years?
Well, I think part of the benefit, I was never invited into the industry. I was never embraced by the industry.
That's fucked up.
I was told to go away and die slowly.
Why,
or do
though?
something.
Why do you think, in retrospect?
Nobody, it didn't fit into a box. Everything has to fit into a box.
Right.
Back in the days of radio. Okay. If you didn't sound like this, if you didn't sound like that, if you didn't sound like this, there's no chance.
Right.
This notion of being a snowplow, and I know it's the wintertime, and being a snowplow and blazing your own path was that was because you needed the marketing that the major label provided. Once Facebook started, once even MySpace and just forums, forums. Remember forums like
Reddit,
part owner in this thing called the Les Paul Forum, and people talk about Les Pauls, and they also talk about artists. Next thing you know, my name starts to get more traction. This is 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And it was just It was never like, oh my God, I had a big single and it's over. It was just little mini micro steps. And then in 2009, we played the Albert Hall for the first time, sold it out, and Eric Clapton came out. And God be thankful for that, is we turned the fucking cameras, which we spent my manager of 35 years has spent every freaking dollar we had recording that moment.
Thank God, though.
And then PBS in the United States picked it up as a national campaign, and they would put us on at 8:00 in KCET in Los Angeles or wherever. And it was sandwiched in between like Nova, Antiques Roadshow, Lawrence Welk, and the Celtic Women. And this was like being Metallica. Okay.
I bet, dude.
Festival. Okay. That's how it went down. If you watched an evening of public broadcasting, initially it was like Metallica in the middle of Del McCoury and Billy Strings. It kind of stuck out. All right.
I fucking love it, Joe. Do you think there's like, because there's gatekeeping in TV, do you think there's gatekeeping in the music industry?
Oh, so many records. So many great. I mean, how many times I sat next to a guy on an airplane from Los Angeles to Nashville. He's an EDM producer now. He's the same age as me. And he was in 4 different major label bands that got shelved 4 different times because
What?
of A&R person gets fired, president of the label who's, I remember somebody saying something very profound to me a long time ago, but it didn't sink in, and I kind of lashed back a little bit. This woman said, commenting on an artist, and she said that this particular artist was so great in the meeting. This artist just blew my mind in the meeting, and everybody was just going, "What amazing meeting this was!" I'm like, "The fuck are you talking about? Can she sing? Can this person sing on stage?" Well, no, she's developing, but she's great in the meeting. And I said, "Come on, this is nonsense." But no truer words have ever been spoken to me, because back in the day, when you had a major label, you had to be as entertaining. I remember somebody telling me at Sony, he was like, "Hey, when Joe comes to the building, he should dress like he's going on stage." I'm like, "Why?" It's a commissary, a bunch of cats with posters. It's like it's not. Anyway, it was
Joe. You're the realest motherfucker on the planet, dude. I love this. Keep going.
I'm independent. I have nothing to lose.
Yeah, same.
So, but the reality is, it's like you had to be good in the meeting. You had to be just as charming and put on just as much of a show for them, 6 people, as you would for 16,000 at Madison Square Garden, a few blocks away.
Right.
And that never made any sense to me. But in the context of the major label model, that is big. And the only place that still exists, still lives and thrives, and the evilness is, you can feel it. It's just over here, just to my right, just down the street on Music Row in Nashville. It's evil monsters.
These fucking evil monsters.
Major monsters that in country radio just carrot and stick, and all the evil things about the business still exist in a little pocket in the 615. But, people are now going more independent. But major country acts still need the country radio. It's the difference between clubs and arenas still, for them, and they know, and it's like going into a time machine.
How do you negotiate your deals going into session works when you know that you have to deal with the monster?
Session work, I generally, if I'm playing on a friend's record, my fee is extraordinarily low. Because I know, even if it's a major label project, every dollar that they spend is $1 they're not going to get on the back end of the events, and that's the only money they're ever going to see. So I said, "Listen, man, 2 Diet Cokes. Okay, if it's over an hour, it's going to be 2 Diet Cokes. That's it. I'll bring my own stuff. I carry my own shit.
Fucking Joe.
No cartage. Just tell me where to park. Plug in. I do it for free, and it's done. Because at the end of the day, if they're independent artists, I mean that every dollar's, whatever money they're going to spend on me, for my 2 Diet Cokes, which is in these inflationary times, which is now $5. Is $5 they don't have to throw into marketing, which I'd rather see my friends put the money into marketing, not not to me.
Right.
You know, I don't play sessions for a living. I'm lucky enough. My day job is very lucrative, and we do fine.
Yeah.
And that's part of the philanthropy of when you do well is it's that's the time you like start looking in the mirror and going like, what can I do to help others? And through our Keeping the Blues Alive Foundation, we've given away over $1 million. We've raised almost $2 million. We gave away over $1 million for musicians in need during the pandemic. We did all this stuff out of the goodness of our heart because we knew that the community was really suffering, and we could weather the storm, but some people couldn't, and that's part of what I do all the time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Like, what's your take on modern blues? Like, do you think it's a dying industry, or do you think it's growing?
I don't. The thing with the blues, it's not a problem, but it's never been the flavor of the month, but it's never going to die either.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of its beauty. It's every 10 years, there's someone that comes through. I did it 08, 09, and next thing you know, the magazine covers both in Europe and here. It's like Joe Bonamassa with the new king of the blues ? Or like the savior of the blues ? All this, these clickbaitable pre-clickbait headlines. And then next thing you know, 5, 6, 7 years later, Gary Clark Jr., the savior of the blues ? Same fucking shit, just different picture, you know. And now it's Kingfish or whoever. And then if you look back, in the 80s, it was like Robert Cray, the fresh face of the blues, or Stevie Ray Vaughan, Texas Gunslinger, saving the blues ? They've always written off the blues as something that is could die out and be relegated to a Smithsonian tribute night in Washington D.C. next to the great works of John Philip Sousa. It's never going to die because everything that we listen to from Taylor Swift down is the building blocks of that music is the blues. Every Jerry Garcia run, everything goes back to Son House and Robert Johnson and that DNA. It's like the French cooking of music. It just the whatever we're listening to has roots in it. Now sometimes it's harder than others to pick it out, but you listen to all this Americana stuff. It's all blues based. You know what I mean? And country music is blues based, So to me, I don't think it's ever going to die. I just think we just need to continue, supporting young people in the blues, like Kingfish and
Samantha Fish
and Samantha Fish and Joanne Shaw Taylor and all these people that have. Well, I mean, they're now career musicians. They've been in the game a long time, and they're keeping it going. And it's up to the community to embrace that and not push them out. Going, well, you're not quite what we define as blues. No, bring everybody in, and we'll sort it out later.
Why is the blues so important to you?
It's just what I liked.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just like my dad would play me everything from prog rock to the Byrds, to Crosby, Stills and Nash and Jethro Tull, and next thing you know, I'm listening to Eric Clapton and Roy Buchanan and Guitar Slim and Albert King. And I'm like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah,
Jeff Beck group. I was like, oh, I want to do that.
Was your dad competitive while you were growing up?
No, he was my parents are both still alive, and they're both very supportive. And they always told me, it's like they always told me, especially when I was a teenager, it's like, if you want to go to college and quit this hideous fucking business, it's like, let's do it. I'm like, no, I still got something to say,
Yeah.
And I still want to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I stuck to it. But it wasn't always, I mean, again, it's very hard to go to a kid and say, listen, you put a guitar in their hands and say, listen, I know you're 6 years old now. Okay. By the time you're 36, you're going to be bitter. Or a million.
So true. It's so true.
There's no middle ground.
Oh, I'm crying, Joe.
It's going to be 30 years. This thing is going to make you bitter, jaded, and resentful, or a millionaire.
Yeah.
And you're not going to know the difference. And you're not going to know why. And it's just that's what's going to happen. And it's true. It's a hard ask.
Yeah.
But it's true.
But isn't that part of life, is like the adventurous idea? This is why I love being in a band and traveling, is this adventure. It's like this journey. It's like this, nothing is, you don't have this 9 to 5 where it's just so boring. You know, I think that's what intrigues us with it. I mean, you've been doing it a little long. I've been doing this for 15 years now, doing 250 shows a year.
Yeah. Great.
I love
awesome.
it. I still love it, but I'm still bitter as fuck.
but those are the thing is, this is why you're the most balanced person that I'm having the conversation. Both of you and I are the most balanced people in the music business. We have chips on both shoulders.
Right.
So we wake up in the morning and ask somebody to knock one off. And that's the drive. That's the passion. It's not all about the talent. You know, it's about the drive and the way that you pinpoint your goals. It's just like, I want to be successful. Well, okay, in what?
Yeah.
You want to be a touring act? You want to be a recording act? You want to like it? You have to be like, I just want to go on the road. I'm nomadic by nature, and I want to pinpoint where I want to be. It's like, pick a venue and just manifest yourself into that venue.
Right.
That's what I did. I picked a venue,
Same.
Albert Hall. I said,
Same.
I'm going to do that one of these days. I don't know how, but you know, 20 years after I picked the venue, here I am, you know, and that's a thing that really, that's the thing that you don't want to lose sight of is the goals. It's like, you know, it's like, I want to play, Giant Stadium. Okay, well, maybe let's start with Madison Square Garden. Let's start with the BEAU Theater. Okay, let's get something that's a more attainable and realistic about, you know, the kind of music that you play, you know, because we're in niche genres that are not necessarily mainstream.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, Taylor Swift is not my peer. That's a different world.
Right.
You know, and neither am I hers.
Yeah.
You know, the same quote industry, but that's not we're not peers.
Yeah.
Okay. She has her own lane, and she's the biggest celebrity in the world. I play blues rock guitar, and I know I stay in this lane. And I know the appeal of blues rock guitar, and I try to expand it a little bit at a time. And that's it.
But you're the biggest celebrity in that world too, though.
King of the Anthill. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? There's people that
you're right. Right.
There's people that I've never heard of in the music business that headline major festivals. I have to look them up. Never heard of them. I mean, when I and I'm not just being facetious or putting on a shtick here. It's like, I have no idea who this is. Wouldn't be able to identify them on the street as a musician. Who would have wouldn't have the slightest clue. And they're in the biggest font, Bonnaroo and whatever, these big festivals that nobody invites me to. And I look these people up, and on their Instagrams and their whatever, they have enough followers to declare themselves king or queen of any country they choose. I'm like, where
the fuck are all these people coming from?
Where are they? Exactly. Because it used to be MTV.
Yeah.
It used to be a traditional way of like going, hey, here's the latest Madonna, you know, and here's the latest this. And, you know, even though I wouldn't have seeked out Rihanna's music, I was certainly aware of Rihanna's music and would have heard it in a Vegas casino on the floor when I was playing a slot machine, you know? I mean, but which is probably where I first heard it. And at the end of the day, that's how it became aware of someone in the music business. Now, I don't know where all these people come from, and they're doing great, and God bless them. They figured out how to do it in a much bigger scale than I will.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I think that's great.
Yeah. And, you know, how long did it take you? Did you have to be successful until you could like actually appreciate other people's success? Or did you always appreciated people's success?
That's a good question. And I tried not to be Hollywood.
Yeah.
Really, I was, you know, it's like when I see someone get upped or their profile go up, and we were still plateaued, or
Yeah.
I indelibly was happy for them, because when you're on the oyster line and you're shucking oysters, okay, every day, all day, and you got that fucking glove on, that little knife, okay, and your pal Charlie next door, he gets up to being going from shucking the oysters to making the oysters Rockefeller, okay, you're like, oh shit. Now he's got to deal with breadcrumbs and Parmesan, but it's a lot easier than shucking these fucking oysters.
Yeah.
So part of you is happy,
Yeah.
and then part of you goes, well, what could I do to get to be the same?
Right.
And that's also, it's a healthy thing. It's the ones I worry about. Okay, and here comes the clickbait. There's about 10 things that are going to be clickbaited by Guitar Magazine today. Here comes the click. The ones I worry about are the ones that have the fake Hollywood laugh. I'm just so happy for your success, and they kind of giggle and stutter. And there's like, I go, those are the ones I like. I go, do I have to like put metal detectors at the front for you? Are you
Yeah.
Are we okay here? Are we okay? But the other thing is, it's also important to help people,
Right.
help people figure out their lane, and like here's a profile, here's take my social media. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Plug a record, and we do a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's worked. It's worked for our friend Larry McRae and Joan Shaw Taylor and Robert John and the Wreck, and it's like we're helping get those people and try to move them up a few steps on the ladder, and most importantly, it makes for a healthy community.
Yeah.
Totally.
That going back to that thing, the passive aggressiveness of the LA fucking fake smile shit. That's why I left it. It's like I was working in the industry. I was working at Capitol, I was working at Drive Through Records, and just like the fakeness of like, yeah, we'll get you it, and never it happening. It's kind of like that rabbit. It's like it hardened me to not to just keep going. But also, it's like I feel for these kids who don't really have any like social hardening. It probably ruins them.
It will ruin some. You have to have a very, very hard exterior,
right,
and not let anybody get inside your head. And you just have to go, I'm going to do what I believe. If you don't believe in what you're doing, like yourself,
yeah,
and it's a combination of confidence, a dash of arrogance. It's like like the seasoning salt, like Old Bay, just a dash of that.
Yeah.
Too much is, you ruin the meal. But a little dash of Old Bay, and AKA arrogance, and a blind belief in yourself that if you're not convinced that you're worthy to do this on the road, or it be in this field, how the hell do you expect to convince others to bet on you?
Exactly.
And that's at the end of the day, it's like, no matter, like, I love the flexers. Those are my favorite. The people, and you a lot of flexing in the 615. It's almost like the gold gem of fucking flexing in the music business.
It's like it's uncircumcised flexing.
I've gotten to the point where I can literally just tune out like this, like the Peanuts characters when the adults talk wow wow wow, like when it just becomes all this input that I just don't care. I just okay, great, good for you. I just don't care. Good for you. What's the bad? I mean, what else can I say?
Yeah, I bet it's just the egos. Yeah, it's crazy.
And anybody who has to give me their resume within the first 35 seconds, it's like good. I'm thrilled. Well,
Right.
did you know great, sir? This is a Wendy's.
Yeah. Sir, so I'm in the drive-through of the Wendy's. I'm trying to get a McChicken.
It's a White Castle, man. It's like I don't get it. But you know what I mean. And
I totally get it.
just have to the one lesson that I do know, and I'm a character. People I know, it's the people that I'm polarizing because I have a weird sense of humor. But most of the people who meet me, okay, will say this. They're like, and I try to, and I learned from the greatest, the most talented people I've ever run into in my entire life were also the kindest and nicest, but they carry themselves with a quiet confidence that, listen, I'm BB King. I know, I'm aware of what I've done,
Yeah.
and who I am, but I don't have to advertise,
Right. Right.
And that's the kind of way that I always. It's like I'm aware that I'm a successful guitar player named Joe Bonamassa. I don't have to advertise, and I want everybody to win because the more people that succeed in the guitar genre or blues genre or American roots, whatever we want to call it, jam band, all this stuff that's devoid of copious amounts of Ableton Live and tracks and real music played for real fans. Everybody wins. The more people that are involved in that, the more the bigger the movement gets, and the better the live shows are. The more people show up.
Right.
Yeah.
So why are we more worried about Grammys than fucking just entertaining people on the road?
Well, I know a little bit too much about how that thing works, and
That's why I was asking about gatekeeping, because I want to get to this part of the gatekeeping.
I know people with multiple Grammys that have a hard time selling tickets, and I guarantee you that they would probably trade them both if they could sell at the Beacon.
Yeah. Right.
And but also too, that statue opens the door.
True.
And it's very difficult in any subjective media to go, what's the best?
Right.
So you're just kind of just lobbing it out there by vote.
Yeah.
What's the best Americana album? I don't know. Well, you got 6 people up for it, and this one got the most votes. Okay, I guess that's the best. Now it's subjective. What's the best blues album of the year? I don't know. It's one of those things.
When your record's in there, nominate. Are you allowed to vote?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
The whole Grammy thing, every award show, from the Golden Globes to the Oscars, Grammys, anything with a gold statuette and in a 3-course prefixed menu party, has it's all about buttering your own bread.
Yeah,
you butter mine, I butter yours, and we'll get a little collusion going, and a consortium of like-minded folks, and that's why you see people with multiple statues.
They call that a bukkake in the porn scene.
Yeah, it's something. It's it's something. But it's their process. It still means something. It would mean something to a lot of artists. And
does it mean something to you?
It didn't. I've been nominated 3 times and never went.
Actually, we were up for 4.
No, I've been up for 4. One as a producer, and 3 as an artist. I never went because I was on the road.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, they'll, and what I didn't realize is that when you do lose and you lose, I can test them 3 times, four times losing.
Yeah.
When you do lose, what you get in the mail subsequently is a box. It says Cartier on it. And it's a medallion. It's with it's like an Olympic medal.
Yeah.
Small, but it's Cartier, and it says 59th annual Grammy Awards, whatever. And underneath it, says nominee medallion, and I call them the loser medallions because I just put them on, take a picture at my house. Look at you. It doesn't
torment you though looking at those motherfucking things.
A Grammy would not move the needle for me.
No,
a Grammy would move the needle for Larry McRae.
Yeah.
Okay, or Eric Gales. And there's certain people that it would definitely help their live gate. It would help definitely have putting on that poster. It's all marketing. It's hey, Grammy Award winning Eric Gales. He's Grammy nominated Eric Gales. Congratulations. That was a huge feat in itself. So at the end of the day, there are certain artists that it would mean something.
Why do you think there's a difference between how popular blues is in Europe versus how it is in America?
It is. It predates us all.
Yeah.
Like you would see. I mean, in the '60s, Muddy Waters would go over. Okay, and find huge audiences that knew his records
right
inside out. And he'd still be playing a club in Chicago.
I know.
You get those great photos, like, and these promoters bringing Howlin' Wolf over, and those great German like television specials they do with Mississippi Fred McDowell, Son House, and they'd recreate. They do these sets, and it's like they have a name for it. It's kind of escaping me at the moment, but the Europeans have always been a dilettante. They've been dilettantes of American music for a long time, and they've subsequently adopted American roots music as their own, and in a sense that it's pop music in certain places.
Right.
It's like I had hits over in Europe. I play arenas over in Europe.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts, dude.
And it's crazy. But at the end of the day, it's because there was a market for it. There was a media that would support it and play it, and fans would come out right off the bat.
Right.
There's like American blues. We were exotic. We were exotic to them, and it always made a difference too. Like a lot of times, I've always brought my band. I was lucky enough to be able to bring my band everywhere I've gone.
Yeah.
I know some people that go over there as American blues artists. They go, if I'm more popular here than the States, I'm gonna live in Brussels and just tour Europe. I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't work that way, because now you're living there and using European bands, and the gate draws down. It's like you got to bring the they want to see American musicians, American gear. It's like it's just this weird. It's weird how it works.
I realized that because I had half my band was from Europe. Because I was just too cheap to take my American band, and I saw my numbers start dropping. The minute I start bringing my American band, we're back to selling out Paradiso. Like it was like
exactly.
It's so weird how that happened. Yeah, you're totally right about that. It's like the idea of the American dream
here with the British acts. It's like why is Coldplay sell out the Rose Bowl?
Yeah,
okay,
it's crazy.
And it's like they've been massive here, and they're British.
Yeah,
and it's like it's the same thing with like Zeppelin broke here, and the Yardbirds, and all of those, the Beatles and the Stones and everything. They found huge audiences re-importing the music that the country had exported, meaning they couldn't believe that Howlin' Wolf wasn't a huge star. They couldn't believe that Muddy Waters wasn't, bigger than like everything put together. They couldn't believe that Ray Charles was touring these underground
clubs,
circuits in the South.
Yeah.
They couldn't fucking believe it, because to them they were gods, and musically they are gods, and then the music that like their versions of those songs were more popular than the songs themselves. And it's just and if you want to critically think about it, like, well, America's inherently this or that, it's really not. It's just about what hits people in a certain way. Why does the American blues interpretation hit the Germans a certain way? I don't know. I don't question it. You know what I mean? It's just we're just lucky enough to have those audiences, and it was great to see, B.B. King selling arenas in Europe, up to the very end. And it was great to see, Ray Charles doing the same, finally after all that time, getting their due, and having the rock stars that they created kiss the ring, going, if it wasn't for you, Ray, I wouldn't be here. Right. And that's the truth.
Do you think in America it's a little bit to do with racism?
No, I think it has to do with the vastness of the country, the differences in taste. Like Iowa is different than California, and
because we're such a big country,
you have to work every territory as if it's its own country. Because quite frankly,
it is.
Having experience in Europe, you do.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we got our New York down. Okay, now let's go to Pennsylvania and let's work Jersey. Let's work the Mid-Atlantics. Let's work the South. Let's work the thing. Blah, 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 blah. And yeah, there was racism back in the 40s and 50s and 60s when our heroes were out there touring and they couldn't go into certain restaurants or use the water fountain. In 2024, it's not about that. It's about getting out there and what you're doing. Does it hit a nerve with an audience, and it doesn't matter how old that audience is, what they look like, what demographic they are. If it hits a nerve, they're going to come buy a ticket and come see you. And why not embrace all of that and not overthink it, you know? And it's like, I looked out at my audience, and it doesn't matter if I'm at the Hollywood Bowl or I'm at the Chicago Theater, it doesn't matter. Okay. It doesn't, it really doesn't matter, because the way I look at it is if 50% of the audience, if you just go by where the country's at, 50% of the audience thinks a certain way, the other 50% of the audience thinks another way. What's the great uniter that's gotten them all in the room at the same time?
Music,
it ain't a political
baby.
rally, it's the music.
Music, baby.
End of story.
End of story.
Just end of story. Whether you're male, female, black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. Everybody's in there, and they all come for an escape.
Yeah.
They've all come to be there and escape the barrage of whatever they're consuming on whatever device they have. And that's what we sell as musicians. We sell escapism, and joy, and on a binary level. And it transcends race. It transcends religion or creed or sexual preference. Music hits humans on a binary level. And that's the greatest thing about what we do, is that we can cut through all that bullshit with a fucking A chord.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Exactly. The bitter or not, like we talked about earlier in the podcast.
Doesn't matter.
Because I'm proud that we could be glue to people, you know?
And I'm proud that you know that we're able to go out and play something. And now I'm old enough where kids will come up to me and be like, "Hey man, I started learning guitar from your Ballad of John Henry." I'm like, "Oh my God, I am getting old," And it's like I started at 4 just like you, and I got my first record was this. I'm like, wow, doesn't seem like that long ago. But then they're 16, 17, and it makes sense.
Yeah,
the record 15, 16 years old. Okay, I get it.
What's your take on age? Like, how do you feel about getting older?
This is my favorite response to the trolls that say, okay, boomer, this, okay, boomer. It's like, listen, man, the one thing you cannot prevent, literally, the one thing you cannot stop is this globe that we're on lapping the sun. And every time we lap the sun, it ticks one more. And it'll happen to you. Listen, I think musicians just start getting good in their 40s. They have a combination of energy, passion, but most importantly, they're starting their second, if they've been in it long enough, they're starting their second set of 10,000 hours on stage.
Oh shit.
And
I didn't think about that.
Replacing that. You do the first 10,000 hours, now you're on the second, maybe even the third set. If you're doing 250 shows a year, you're definitely either on the second set. So, and there's no replacing that. There's no teaching that. There's no course you can say. There's no teaching that X factor and that experience about being on stage and comfortable in yourself and looking them in the audience, looking them out, look at an audience in the eye. It doesn't matter if there's 5 people or 50,000, and everybody in that audience thinks you're looking at them. Yeah, Buddy Guy does it better than anybody.
Oh, Buddy Guy is the fucking pro.
He does it better than ever.
He's the best at that.
He literally doesn't have to play a note, doesn't have to sing a note. He just walks out there, looks him in the eye, and smiles, and it's over. Everything you've done before has been forgotten. Buddy freaking Guy. There's no better. And that you can't teach. Now he's on his 6th set of
But I feel like that's the same as you, Joe. You walk on. I love you, man. You're a great fucking performer, great player. But like when you walk on the stage, everything just shuts the fuck up.
Well, the best way to get him to shut the fuck up is bring it down. Don't hit him. Don't make it so loud. And I learned that BB King would come out and be a barrage of horns and a couple of stinger notes, and then he'd bang. Bring it down. And
got him there. Showbiz, baby.
It's the same thing P.T. Barnum did, and it's the same thing. It's the same tenets that go into movies and plays and operas and comedy. I was talking to a friend of mine who's an agent, a big comedy agent, and we were talking about the notion of dynamics and how Like, go take it to the mic, and then they bang. Like a Sam Kinison or Chappelle does that. A lot.
Yeah.
And then there's other comedians that just shout their act to you straight out, and it's it's less effective that way.
Yeah. It's like having sex. You can't just go full on right away. You got to fucking get used to it a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, bring a light show. Just bring some
get some
production.
lights. Get some fog
bring some
in
movers,
there.
Create some distractions.
You mind introducing me into the room?
Yeah, exactly. You got to save time for band intros, some shout outs to the production guys.
Well, Joe, thanks for being on the show, man. It's been an hour. I know you got to get back to your life, but I'm in Nashville all the time, man. Let's go have a coffee or something.
I would love to, man.
Yeah,
I'd love to.
I don't know if you do the Instagram thing, but I'll shoot you a message.
Just hit me up on Instagram. I'll get I'll give you my number.
Thanks, buddy. All right, I got one last question for you, Joe, and then I'll let you go. When it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered by?
Oh, I think when it's all said and done, I think more than the music, I think the proof of concept.
Yeah,
it's like like if I can give hope to the perpetually uninvited that they one day they can have their own world, then I've done my job. Well, because and that's the most discouraging thing that brings people to, it's like being the perpetually uninvited. Like why they don't remember me, they don't care, they don't rate me. It's like, okay, well I'm gonna throw my own bar mitzvah. Yeah. Okay. You're not invited.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? And if you are invited, you're gonna fucking pay.
Yeah. You're gonna fucking pay.
You're gonna pay a fortune.
Let's go.
So that's the one thing I hope to leave. Listen, you have to understand that there's so many talented musicians that for some reason don't get the invites, and it just ruins and discourages a lot of careers, and people are not into it. So
yeah, well, we're thankful you're around, buddy, and
thanks, man. I appreciate everything.
This was really nice. It was really nice. I first started my career as a blues guy, and looked up to people like you and Ted. After 15 years of touring, do full circle to have a combo with you. It's only just begun. So thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good one, buddy. I'll shoot you a text.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Later, buddy.
Cheers.